Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Walk-Off. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always by Adam Mack. This is Tuesday, so it is our mailbag portion of the Walk-Off, where we go through all of your comments from YouTube, from Twitter at Walk-Off Podcast, DMs from Instagram, the Walk-Off Podcast, and kind of curate your best comments and questions. We have been getting a pile of them lately, especially the last couple weeks here. I know we missed last Fridays, and we kind of had a dip, but since we're back up and regular again here, we've seen an increase again. So thank you so much for being so interactive. Of course, feel free to join the Discord. We do still have the free link in our show notes there where you can get in there and real easy access to get questions for guests or comments for the mailbag, or even just to get into long arguments with fellow Discord members about who we should be getting on the Blue Jays once the lockout is over. That's basically what's taking place right now in our Discord. It's just a lot of board ball fans trying to keep themselves interested and entertained while the lockout goes on. So
you could tell it's a bunch of people who all exist in real world friend groups where no one else cares.
Yeah, so exactly. That's totally what it looks like. Yeah. Just all these people that are finally getting to scratch that itch that everyone else in their life is like, will you just shut up about it for a while?
Before we get into it, I don't know why this just continues to bug me, but the fact that we do mailbag on Tuesday instead of Monday, just the alliteration factor, mailbag Mondays. I just want.
It seems like a perfect fit.
It seems like the perfect fit.
You have never brought this up to me.
It's been eating away at me for about 6 months now. Anyways, we're not moving it to Mondays.
We're sticking with Tuesdays.
Mailbag Tuesdays, as it goes. All right, let's get into Tuesday's mailbag first comment. This comes from Neil Rhodes on YouTube. Says, Scotty, look at you go, doing crowd work after the show, mingling with fans in the audience. Great job getting Joe Siddle, gentlemen. Looking forward to it. So that interview is coming up tomorrow, depending when you listen to this, Wednesday. We're really excited to have Joe on the show. We don't know how much time we're going to get with him, I guess, is the point that we should bring up. Usually we do aim for about 60 minutes. If we get 30 out of him, I think we're going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's what we got from Jamie Campbell.
We'll take what they give us.
If we get 10 minutes with him, it'll be good. But we will have some time for some of your comments and questions, guys. So do be sure to get them in. Drop them in Discord, as Scott was mentioning earlier. Send us a message on Twitter, Instagram. We do have a post up on the community tab on YouTube here. Get your comments in, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can.
I'm actually really excited to talk to Joe Siddle. I love picking brains of catchers. I don't know what it is about. I mean, the broadcast crew at Sportsnet is incredibly knowledgeable and fun to talk to anyways, but it's just like one more little nougat of interest with him being a catcher and just having all that baseball knowledge. So should be fun.
I texted my brother that we had the Joe Siddle interview on Wednesday. He says, I like Joe. I really like how choked up he got on the last game of the year.
Yeah.
It's cool when people give a shit.
Yeah, so. I love that. Feel the same way.
All right, next one from YouTube. This is Joe Maru Joestar. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Walk-Off, Foolish Baseball, John Boy, and OOTP are saving my off-season. Lockout addiction. Not worried about Bo Bichette. I think he's easier to be replaced in the pipeline because Vlad is such a dominant hitter. Obviously, this comes in response to our
Twin contract talk
from last week. Thoughts?
First off, incredibly high praise. We're being mentioned with some very, very impressive content creators. So thank you so much for even mentioning us in the same breath as that. I don't think we're there, but appreciate you appreciating. As for the Bichette being more replaceable than Guerrero, respectfully disagree, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're at, Adam. I love Bichette, and I think 2022 is going to really realign where everyone kind of puts Vlad and Bo. I think they're very, very comparable into the importance to the team and their replaceability. In fact, I don't know, first base, don't get me wrong, Vlad's an elite bat that comes around, once every 10 years type of thing. Like, he's a generational talent. But the fact that Bo plays shortstop, and I know his defense is questionable at times, but he has been getting better. So, I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see where they land in a couple years. But I think it's neck and neck as to where they're at, I think, in importance to this team.
No, absolutely. I think Bo Bichette is definitely underrated and living in the shadow of Vladdy, because obviously Vladdy has the power, and the power is what sells tickets nowadays. But
let's be serious, Vladdy was so hyped, and then there was like almost this disappointment that came with him for his first 18 months in the league because he wasn't at 18 a world beater. But now, like, look at what he's doing at 22, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's everything we expected him to be now. I think Bo didn't have that extreme jet upwards like Vlad did, and I think that muddies the water, I guess.
You think he's going to have a big season next year?
I think Bo's going to have a crazy good season in 2022. He led the American League in hits. Like, it's not like he had a bad season. He had a great season in 2021, but I think only goes upward from there.
1997, for all my Seinfeld fans out there, the Summer of George, season 8. I think 2022 is the season of Bo. So,
okay, I like it.
Next comment here. This one comes in from D. Cooper on YouTube. If the current Blue Jays team played the Blue Jays team that had the most wins in franchise history, 1985, they had a 99-win season. So if those two teams played in a 7-game series, who do you think would win? Follow-up question. If you say the 85 Blue Jays would win, what moves could the current front office do to put the team on par with the 1985 team? Well, I think it's pretty obvious the current team would win, because the team from 1985, those guys are all in like their 60s now. So it wouldn't even be close.
I knew you were going to go that route.
Oh, man. In all honesty, I think 85 team, as they were in 85, if you could somehow pull off a time machine magic trick, I think this team still beats them. But generally, I just think athletes in 2022 are better than athletes were in 1985.
I feel the same way, and I mean, this is why chats like this happen throughout every sport, right? Is like, it's so hard as a fan to not compare eras, but it's a completely unfair comparison. I mean, if you look at what sports science is doing right now in comparison to 1985, it is night and day when you're talking nutrition, working out, just the knowledge of the mental side of stuff too. There's a whole mental performance department with the Blue Jays, whereas in 1985, if you were sad or you were depressed or something, they pretty much told you to suck it up, right? Like, yeah. There was so much more going on in today's sports world than there was then. I just think that, I think that this team would beat 1985. That said, the 1985 team was one of the Blue Jays' best, right? And I guess if you could take all of the sports science knowledge you have today and it implemented in 1985, 85 is probably the better team. but a lot of what ifs and
A lot of what ifs. Here's a what.
This is a real lockout talk.
Here's a what if. How would the 1985 Toronto Blue Jays play as they were against the 2021 Baltimore Orioles? I still feel like the Orioles would win that series.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
really?
Well, I mean, we talked on Friday about how the Baltimore Orioles are like last year were a AAA team.
Yeah, in 2021 is my point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think I think pitching would translate between eras. Like, I think if a guy throws 98, he throws 98. Right? If a guy has good movement on his pitches, I don't care what era you're in, right?
That's true.
But when it comes to like fielding and conditioning and power in a swing, I don't think you can compare it.
I agree.
All right.
I don't agree that I think the 2021 Baltimore Orioles could beat the 1985 Jays, but I like that. I like that twist.
All right. So just for fun then, what moves could the current Toronto front office do to put the current team on par with the 1985 team if supplements and not calling injuries, a suck it up situation? If all things were equal, what could this front office do to improve the team, Scott?
Bullpen.
Yeah.
I think that 1985 team, the pitching was just better than it is
Well, we had
right
Tom
now.
Hankey in the bullpen, one of the most feared closers of the era, the Terminator.
The Terminator.
The Terminator versus the Markham Madman. Who wins in a pitch off, right? Probably the Terminator. All right, let's move on from that, Scott. This one is a response to not our news that the MLB is one step closer to robo umps. But Dulcimerist says, with the largest growing revenue stream for the MLB coming from online sports betting companies. Sorry. Let me start that one over. With the largest growing revenue stream for the MLB coming from online sports betting companies who want to host micro betting on a pitch-by-pitch basis, the betting companies are likely flexing some financial muscle on the MLB to get robot umpires implemented at the MLB level. Consistent calls of balls and strikes in every game with a robot ump makes this type of micro betting much more feasible and profitable. Manfred is a huge fan of sports gambling, which has become very prolific in MLB during his tenure. He would do anything for those companies. Thoughts?
Dulcimerist is nailing it here, and what a great comment. Like, that is really something that I hadn't put a lot of thought into as to why robo-umps are being pushed so heavily currently. And of course, the micro betting makes all the sense in the world, where you can kind of get rid of the question marks when it comes to the human side of balls and strikes, right? So it's definitely a lot easier to accurately place bets if it's all going to be streamlined and the same every single time with robo-umps.
So here, let me just pick this apart. This type of micro betting, much more feasible and profitable. Would the thought behind that be gambler hesitancy would be reduced?
I would say so, yes.
More people betting if they feel that it's a fair strike zone? Okay. Just me speculating here. What do you think is harder to do, though? Pay off an umpire or hack a program of computer software?
Oh, probably easier to corrupt a human than a computer, right?
Probably cheaper, too.
Probably cheaper, too.
All right. Moving into Discord now. Veracity says... Oh, that's fine. So we had quite a lengthy conversation about getting Luis Castillo. And this comment really stuck out to you. but I don't think we really need another impact arm. We need a depth/veteran piece that can be a solid number 5. In my ideal world, we trade for Jose Ramirez, trade away Grichuk for a bullpen piece, sign Greinke as our number 5, and sign Conforto to play right field.
Adam, I want to live in Verocity's world. In this man's perfect world, let me have a spot, my dude. I want in. I love this.
Yeah,
of course. I want to be in a world. I want to be in a world where the Blue Jays go and trade for J-Ram, get somehow manage to move Grishik's money, pick up Zach Greinke.
Sure, why not?
And sign Michael Conforto, the big lefty bat, to replace Grichuk in the outfield. Buddy, how can this is a world where the air is sweeter. The
Kale
MLB
tastes
and
like strawberries.
the MLB and the MLBPA are best of buds and can't wait to get a season going on time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, we don't need to get too much into it. I don't think there's a Blue Jays fan out there that wouldn't want to live in this world that Verocity is floating. I think make room for all of us, my man, because this sounds beautiful. So
this is the same world where Bo and Vladdy give the Jays a hometown discount too, right?
That's right. They signed cheap.
Yeah.
To stay.
Well, I mean, their dads made all that money, so they don't even need it, right? All right. This one comes from Twitter. This is Bo Bichette. Not Bo Bichette. Bichette is best shortstop. Could be Dante. Could be a Dante fan. If you boys had to pick the best under the radar move by the Jays front office last year, what would it be?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I think you might fight me on this. You might say this doesn't count as an under the radar move because, I mean, in hindsight, it's, I think, popular by everyone, but it's the Joe Panic for Cimber and Dickerson move.
Yeah, that was a great move.
I mean, we all love that. Was it sidearm submarine delivery from Cimber?
From Cimber.
Again, I don't know if that counts as under the radar. It sure felt like under the radar at the time.
That's a great choice, man. That's a great choice.
Give me this. If we're all going to say Cimber wasn't an under-the-radar move, how about just the inclusion of Corey Dickerson, who at the time was injured list.
Yeah.
Just felt like kind of a throw-in piece. And he was a statue in the outfield, but he contributed at the plate.
In September, he was great.
Yeah.
That's kind of the one I would want to pick too. You know what? We'll go the other way then. I'll take. Listen, the Trevor Richards move was actually a really, really great under the radar move for the Jays as well. They picked up Trevor Richards and Bowden Francis for a redundancy on the team, Rowdy Tellez, and that worked out incredibly well. Richards, like, he came to the Jays when they were losing 3 games a week because of the bullpen. Yeah. And you can kind of say the same thing for Cimber. Like, literally the pen was in shambles when Atkins pulled these trades off. Mm-hmm. It was mid-June. It was about 5 weeks away from the trade deadline when relievers were at their most expensive. He managed to get Trevor Richards and Francis Bowden for a guy who wasn't contributing to the Blue Jays team. Richards came in, he threw 32.2 innings. He pitched to a 3.31 ERA, but what really stood out about Trevor Richards is that he had a 0.796 whip. Walks, hits, innings pitched. Mm-hmm. Like, that's elite. That's as elite as it comes. And it's why Charlie went to him when there were runners in scoring position or when the starting rotation got into trouble. Who was coming out of that bullpen first? In a lot of cases, it was Trevor Richards. Adam Cimber also was another guy who kind of, whip was very low for him. Not as low as Richards, but they both didn't give up walks or hits. And when the back when their backs were against the wall and they needed outs, those were the two guys in the pen that they were going to. So, yeah, my vote for under the radar move last year would have been Trevor Richards, Francis Bowden.
And your pick for over the radar move, that would just be Marcus Semien?
Yeah, I guess so, eh?
All right. Thanks for that question there from Twitter. All right, back to YouTube now. This comes in from Hero to Millions. Why is it that whenever someone talks about the cycle, hitting for the cycle, and the Toronto Blue Jays, no one ever even bothers to mention JP Arancibia's debut? He had a home run, a double, a single, and another home run. That's way better than a cycle.
That was a heck of a debut. I remember watching that on TV. I think that was very, very exciting. We were all, as Blue Jays fans, pretty high on Arancibia when he first came into the league. And then it just kind of tapered off after that. I think the reason nobody brings it up is that era of Blue Jays baseball was, what's the word I'm looking for, Adam? Garbage? It was garbage.
Yeah.
It was garbage to watch.
Interesting. I was going to go another way. I was going to say that no one ever brings it up because it's not a cycle. And that's...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, better than a cycle. But while we're at it, why not? Why does nobody bring up Carlos Delgado's 4 home run game in 2003? That's better than a cycle.
Yes,
right?
That's true.
All right.
That's true.
Still fun to talk about.
Yeah.
All right. Back into Discord here. We got just a couple comments left. So this comes from Jay Durbecker. Yeah, it looks like a pretty fair CBA counter proposal, considering how bad the MLB's last proposal was, and with another meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Should we be hopeful?
Yeah, so that came in last night, talking, of course, about yesterday's CBA meeting. And things went well enough. It went 2 hours long, and they rescheduled another meeting today. I think that's a little bit hopeful. I mean, if you do look at the first meeting they had, it lasted 7 minutes before somebody told somebody else to pound sand, and they all went their own ways. So... I mean, 2 hours is better than 7 minutes. The union proposal included a bump in the minimum salary to $775K. I think right now it's sitting at what, 600, something like that, 585, something like that. Yeah. They want to do an institution of an 18 draft lottery, so the bottom 8 teams would be very similar to the NBA or the NHL. A kind of an attempt, very similar to the idea of a salary floor to eliminate tanking so that a team just can't reduce tanking. Exactly. I mean, that's the funny thing is with baseball, there's so much development that goes in to a draft pick, as even when you're accumulating these high-end draft picks, there's still a lot of work to be done within the system. Like, look at Wander Franco. He was like, by far and away, the number one prospect around baseball. It still took him a year and a half before the Rays finally brought him up. And I mean, there was a little bit of tampering there with his... What's the word there?
Service time manipulation?
Service time, thank you. So I don't know. I think that's interesting that they wish to do a lottery. I think it might help. We'll see. And then the last thing that they proposed was the $245 million base and the luxury tax threshold. And, of course, MLB's already come out and said that they'd rather it around 214 to 220. So there is some significant gaps still going on here. The fact that the MLBPA, and I don't know if you read this, Adam, came out and pretty much said that they're all right with going 6 years before free agency again. So... that was a sticking point that was really looking like it was going to be major. And with the Player Association being prepared to concede that may allow them to kind of get closer on some of these other...
All right. So that was my first impression, too, was, well, it looks like the MLBPA is making some serious concessions here. This is encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do think it is encouraging, both sides are talking, right?
Yes.
This is good. This is for sure a reason to be hopeful Do I think that this means that we're close to announcing a deal? No.
Yeah.
The thing with the 6-year free agency versus 5-year free agency or whatever, that felt like a major concession when I first read it. But then this morning I was listening to the Nothing Personal podcast with David Sampson.
Right.
And for anybody that wants like a fix of baseball stuff, go check out Nothing Personal with David Sampson. He's former, I guess, president of the Montreal Expos and the Miami Marlins. He's with the Marlins when they won the World Series. Really like smart baseball business side of things, kind of insider. So when it comes to like free agency talk and all those considerations, really insightful. He talks about all sports 5 days a week, and you got to take everything he says outside of baseball kind of with a grain of salt. I don't really listen to him when he talks about what's going on in football or stuff like that. But when it comes to baseball, he's really intelligent and smart. So go check that out 5 days a week. He brought up the point that this is kind of a bullshit counter proposal from the MLBPA, and I was surprised by that. But he said that concession going from 6 years to 5 years was never going to happen anyways. That the owners were never going to allow players to be free agents in 5 years. So while it is technically a concession, it was kind of a pipe dream to even want that. Like that, might as well budge on it now, and then it's a public image play more than anything, right? Where it get the public on your side, and that really surprised me.
I read another thing too, where revenue sharing is something that is a real sticking point with the MLBPA, and they really would like to reduce the amount of revenue sharing going on. And that is something that the MLB has also come out and said zero chance that they revisit revenue sharing. So this is another one where maybe they're giving into this BS concession because there's one of these that the MLB came out and said, no way we're doing anything on, one that the MLBPA really would like to. And I think that's revenue sharing. So we'll see where that kind of goes.
Another interesting point with that revenue sharing that David Sampson brought up was he views that revenue sharing as a topic to create division within the ranks of MLB owners.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Obviously, teams like the Guardians, who benefit from revenue sharing, do not want to see it reduced. And obviously, a team like the Dodgers or Yankees would be like, yeah,
would love to see it reduced.
That's a bad idea, right? So if you can get those guys, arguing with each other, I mean, I guess from a tactics and strategy standpoint, not a bad plan. So
yeah,
it is hopeful that they're talking though, and that at least proposals are being pitched, and we're starting to see
a little bit of momentum going. I mean, the fact that they have booked a second meeting back-to-back days is huge.
Yeah.
The truth is they are still very, very far apart on a new deal.
Yeah.
Just hope that they start to close some of those gaps. That's all we can do as fans.
All right. Last one here. This one comes in from Jeremy V. Looking forward to the Joe Siddle podcast. How do I watch the movie reviews you guys are doing on Patreon? Awesome show. You guys are killing it. Looking forward to the season starting if and when it does.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeremy. Appreciate the kind words there. As for Patreon, do you want to take this one, bud?
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, Scott and I have started doing baseball movie reviews through the off season. I guess just through the year. We started in December with a free one. That's up now. I'll put it in the end card so you guys can watch it if you're interested. Yeah, about an hour and a half we spent talking about Bull
Durham.
right? One of
That
the
was
all-time classic sports movies with Kevin Costner. So just kind of a fun take on some old movie classics. For January, we're going to be recording, I think Thursday, you and I are going to sit down and record our episode covering the Tom Selleck baseball movie, Mr. Baseball. So that's going to be a fun time. And that will be up on our Patreon, not for free, although I'm sure we'll put a 10 or 15 minute clip up on YouTube just as a teaser. But yeah, as far as our Patreon goes, that is kind of a mess right now, to be honest. I got to get that sorted out. It'll be ready for February 1st. The thing with Patreon is if you subscribe now and you pay your $4, it's going to recharge you on the first of the month anyways. So just for your own sake, if you are interested in doing it, don't bother subscribing until February 1st. And at that point, you'll have access to the entire back catalog of our movie reviews, which at that point will be 2. So
the best thing you can do is join our Discord. Again, that link is going to be in our show notes.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is and Adam and I talked about this yesterday. We've decided that we're just going to have one level of Patreon. It's $4 a month. It's going to allow you the movie reviews and maybe a couple other little things. For the most part, we don't wish everyone to need to pay for content. So this is more of a, if you enjoy our stuff and would like to help out here and there, we're making it a small enough amount that hopefully you can do that and enjoy a little bit of extras. That's right.
All right. There will be a link to the Patreon in the show notes as well. But otherwise, yeah, please don't sign up until February 1st. So, with that in mind, I just do want to tease one more time. We have Joe Siddle, tomorrow. That episode will be up right away. Thursday, you and I are just recording the Mr. Baseball,
Mr.
but that
Baseball?
won't be up, so that's irrelevant. Friday, we got the news show, and then this Sunday is the inaugural episode of Long Toss on the walk-off. So we're going to be sitting down.
I'm so excited about this, man.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be as we've called it, a roundtable discussion with some other pretty dope baseball minds, content creators from YouTube, various websites, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. Episode 1 this Sunday, we've got Joel with Hey Kami on TikTok, and his what's he got, 70,000 followers on TikTok now. Craig Ballard, also from TikTok. Both of those guys we've had on the show, I think, a couple times each now at this point.
Very knowledgeable dudes. Great chats.
Sean, is it Sean?
Yeah, Sean Doyle. He is
Doyle.
the creator of Jay's on the Couch. And that is
if you're listening to this podcast in the middle of January, I'm sure you're familiar with the Jays from the Couch website.
Exactly. And then our last guest is going to be Taylor Cicero, a friend of the show, left-handed pitcher in that Blue Jays bullpen. And so very lucky to have such a quality group of people on our first roundtable panel. And that'll be Sunday, live on YouTube, 6 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern. Feel free to join us. You can get your questions in while we're live, and then we'll also obviously post it up on Monday morning for all of you content nerds.
All right. Thanks again, Scott, and thanks again to everybody for getting your comments, questions in. I guess next time we'll see everybody will be tomorrow after the Joe Siddle interview.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.
Cheers.